Today, I want to walk you through a framework that changes the way businesses grow. Most companies spend their lives trying to work harder, more hours, more hustle, more activity. But the companies that truly dominate markets are not simply working harder, they are engineering momentum. What you're about to see is a system designed around flywheels, mechanisms that compound over time and create accelerating results. Instead of relying on bursts of effort, this approach creates sustainable growth that becomes more powerful as time goes on. This presentation is about building systems that remove drag, create leverage, and generate long-term market dominance. The goal is simple: create momentum so strong that growth becomes inevitable. This is Steve Koleno, and this is Confidential Remarks. Most people believe success comes from increasing effort. They think the answer is simply pushing harder every day. But there's a major limitation to that approach. Human effort is linear. It eventually slows down, burns out, or reaches capacity. Momentum works differently. Momentum compounds. The businesses and agents that win long-term are the ones that build systems that continue producing results, even when they are not actively pushing every single moment. They engineer flywheels that create consistency, automation, referrals, loyalty, and scalability. Think about the difference between pushing a heavy object every single day versus building a machine that keeps spinning once it gains speed. That is the shift we are making here. The objective is not more effort. The objective is engineered acceleration. Everything in this framework revolves around 5 accelerators. Together, they create a self-reinforcing growth engine. First, focus force. This is about directing energy only toward activities that move the needle. Second, eliminate friction. Every bottleneck, delay, or unnecessary process slows momentum. Removing resistance increases speed. Third, build loops. The strongest businesses create systems where one result leads naturally into the next result. Fourth, reinvest and grow. Momentum requires fuel. The best companies consistently reinvest into the systems producing growth. And fifth, serve and lead. Real market domination comes from creating undeniable value and building trust at scale. When these 5 accelerators work together, growth stops being random and starts becoming predictable. One of the biggest reasons businesses stall is because they spread energy too thin. They try to do everything, target everyone, and chase every opportunity. But high growth comes from concentration. The most successful operators focus intensely on the few activities that create the majority of results. They identify the highest leverage actions and direct their time, resources, and attention there relentlessly. This requires discipline. It means saying no more often than you say yes. It means protecting focus like an asset. And it means understanding that distraction is one of the greatest killers of momentum. When you direct energy toward the highest impact activities consistently, results begin to compound faster and faster. Execution becomes powerful when focus becomes measurable. The first step is defining one ideal client avatar. Clarity creates efficiency. When you know exactly who you serve, your messaging, marketing, and operations all become stronger. Second, double down on the traffic source, producing the best results instead of constantly chasing new channels. Third, create one dominant core offer. Simplicity scales far better than complexity. And finally, protect focus operationally through time blocking, boundaries, and disciplined prioritization. The companies that scale fastest are usually not doing more things. They are doing fewer things with greater intensity and precision. Momentum grows when movement becomes easy. Every unnecessary step, delay, bottleneck, or layer of complexity creates resistance inside the business. And resistance slows growth. Many organizations don't fail because they lack opportunity. They fail because the path from lead to result is too complicated. High-performing businesses simplify relentlessly. They reduce onboarding time, improve communication, shorten sales cycles, automate repetitive tasks, and eliminate operational clutter. The faster and smoother the flow becomes, the faster momentum builds. Think of growth like electricity. The fewer interruptions in the system, the stronger the current becomes. Removing friction is one of the fastest ways to improve performance immediately. Automating manual follow-ups increases consistency while reducing wasted time. Simplifying offers and messaging improves conversion because customers understand value faster. Streamlining the sales process reduces hesitation and increases velocity, and internally eliminating unnecessary meetings, tools, and processes frees teams to focus on execution instead of administration. The key insight here is simple. Complexity creates drag. Simplicity creates speed. The businesses that dominate are usually easier to work with, easier to understand, and easier to scale. This is where growth becomes exponential. A self-reinforcing system is a system where one success creates the next success automatically. For example, strong client results create referrals. Referrals create new client acquisition. New clients create more success stories. And those success stories strengthen trust and authority in the market. That loop continues building momentum over time. The goal is to stop relying on isolated activities and start building assets that keep producing results repeatedly. Content, referrals, CRM systems, automation, testimonials, and strategic partnerships all become part of the flywheel. The strongest businesses are not activity-driven. They are system-driven. When systems compound correctly, growth metrics begin changing dramatically. Referral percentages increase. Repeat business grows. Database value expands. Revenue curves begin accelerating instead of remaining flat. This is important because compounding growth creates stability. Instead of constantly restarting from zero every month, the business begins building on top of previous momentum. Documenting processes, strengthening CRM systems, and creating repeatable acquisition channels all contribute to this effect. The real advantage is that every cycle makes the next cycle easier, faster, and more profitable. Momentum requires fuel. One of the biggest mistakes businesses make is extracting too much too early instead of reinvesting into growth-producing assets. The strongest organizations consistently reinvest profits, time, and resources back into the systems that are already working. They invest in marketing, technology, automation, talent, and infrastructure that increases future capacity. Growth is not a one-time event. It is a continuous cycle of reinforcement. The businesses that scale the fastest understand that every reinvestment today creates larger acceleration tomorrow. Strategic reinvestment creates leverage. When companies reinvest into high-performing marketing channels, they increase acquisition efficiency. When they hire and train A players, they improve execution quality. When they invest in technology and automation, they increase scalability. And when they expand strategically into new markets, they multiply opportunity without losing operational control. The key is intentional reinvestment. Every dollar and every hour should strengthen the flywheel rather than dilute it. This is how businesses move from incremental growth to accelerated expansion. At the center of every dominant business is value. Not hype, not noise, not manipulation, real value. The market rewards organizations that consistently solve meaningful problems and improve outcomes for people. When you create massive value, trust grows naturally. Loyalty strengthens. Referrals increase. Authority expands. Over time, that value creation becomes a protective moat around the business. Competitors can copy tactics, but they cannot easily replicate trust and reputation earned over years of consistent service. Market domination ultimately comes from becoming indispensable to the people you serve. Trust is one of the most valuable assets a business can build. Providing high-value education consistently positions you as a trusted authority instead of just another salesperson. Going above and beyond for clients creates memorable experiences that generate loyalty and advocacy. As trust increases, testimonials strengthen, referral rates improve, market recognition expands. Eventually, the business stops competing purely on price because the market perceives higher value, greater expertise, and stronger credibility. Authority compounds exactly like revenue compounds. The more consistently you serve the market, the stronger your position becomes over time. This matrix simplifies the entire framework into a practical operating model. Each accelerator has a clear objective, a supporting playbook, and a measurable metric. Focus creates leverage. Friction removal creates speed. Systems create compounding. Reinvestment creates expansion. And service creates authority. The important point is that growth becomes measurable and manageable when you understand which part of the flywheel needs improvement. Instead of guessing, you diagnose. Instead of reacting, you engineer. That shift creates predictable momentum. When all five accelerators operate together, something powerful happens. Focused execution drives results. Reduced friction increases speed. Systems create compounding loops. Reinvestment expands capacity. Service strengthens loyalty and trust. Each component reinforces the next component. That is the flywheel effect. At first, momentum feels slow, but over time, acceleration becomes stronger and stronger until growth begins compounding at a level competitors struggle to match. The key is consistency. Repeat, refine, compound. That is how long-term market domination is built. The companies that win long-term are not relying on luck, motivation, or bursts of effort. They are building systems that create inevitable momentum. They focus intensely on what matters most. They eliminate drag aggressively. They engineer loops that compound. They reinvest into growth consistently. And they create undeniable value for the market they serve. That is how businesses move from surviving to dominating. The future belongs to organizations that understand how to engineer acceleration instead of merely chasing activity. Build momentum, remove drag, compound relentlessly. Win the market? This has been Confidential Remarks.